Three men stand in a cemetery. The wind blows dust across ancient graves, and the most iconic music in cinema history begins to play. Do you remember the first time you watched The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly? The way that final showdown made your heart stop completely? The way Ennio Morricone music burned itself into your soul forever? This is not just a movie. This is the birth of cool itself captured on film. This is the Western that changed everything we knew about the genre. Director Sergio Leone did not just make a cowboy film. He created a mythological epic that transformed cinema history permanently. But behind those legendary squinting eyes and dusty landscapes lies a world of incredible secrets waiting to be discovered. Dangerous stunts that nearly killed actors, bizarre creative decisions that seemed insane, and moments so strange that they will completely transform how you see this masterpiece forever. Today we are riding deep into the wild frontier of hidden stories. I am going to reveal 20 weird and untold facts about the good, the bad, and the ugly that will absolutely blow your mind completely. And trust me, the last fact will leave you completely speechless and amazed. So load your pistol and prepare for surprises. And let us begin this legendary journey together through the Old West. Before we dive into video, please subscribe to our channel. Fact number 1. Clint Eastwood almost quit the film over script disagreements. Clint Eastwood was already a star from the previous Leone westerns when he signed on for this film. But he almost walked away from the entire production before filming even started. Eastwood had serious problems with the original script and the length of his role. He felt his character Blondie did not have enough meaningful dialogue or screen presence. He complained to Leone repeatedly about these concerns during pre-production meetings. The tension between director and star became so severe that Eastwood threatened to leave. Leone had to rewrite portions of the script to satisfy his star and keep him on board. The character of Blondie was expanded and given more iconic moments because of these arguments. Sometimes creative conflict produces better results than peaceful agreement ever could. Fact number 2. Eli Wallach almost died multiple times during production. Eli Wallach played the unforgettable character Tuco in this film with incredible energy and commitment. But that commitment almost cost him his life on several terrifying occasions during filming. In one scene, Wallach was placed on train tracks with his hands tied behind his back. A real train was coming toward him and he was supposed to roll away at the last possible second. But nobody told him which direction to roll and the train came dangerously close to killing him. In another scene, he accidentally drank acid that was left in a bottle on set. The bottle looked exactly like his lemonade drink, and he took a large sip before realizing. He was rushed for medical treatment and barely survived the poisoning incident. Making this film was genuinely life-threatening for him. Fact number 3. The actors could not understand each other on set. This might sound completely impossible, but the actors often had no idea what their co-stars were actually saying. The film was an Italian production shot in Spain with an international cast from everywhere. Clint Eastwood spoke only English during all his scenes. Eli Wallach spoke English as well during his performance, but many Italian actors spoke only Italian during their scenes. Spanish extras spoke Spanish during crowd sequences. Everyone was speaking different languages simultaneously on the same set. The dialogue was all dubbed later in post-production for different markets. Actors were essentially performing scenes without understanding their scene partners at all. They had to react to emotions and body language rather than actual words. Fact number 4. Sergio Leone shot the final duel for 3 entire days. That legendary three-way showdown in the cemetery is one of the greatest scenes in cinema history. It lasts only about 5 minutes on screen, but it took 3 full days to film properly. Leone was obsessed with capturing every single detail of tension and anticipation perfectly. He shot the scene from dozens of different angles and distances methodically. He focused on eyes and hands and sweat and dust with extreme close-ups. Each actor had to repeat their intense staring performances hundreds of times. The sun position had to match perfectly across all 3 days of filming. Leone edited together over 100 separate shots to create that final sequence. Those 5 minutes contain more cuts than many entire films combined together. Fact number 5. Ennio Morricone composed the music before filming even started. Most film composers write their scores after watching the finished movie. But Ennio Morricone did something completely different and revolutionary for this film. He composed the iconic main theme and other music before cameras ever started rolling. Sergio Leone then played this music on set during actual filming of scenes. Actors performed their scenes while listening to the music that would accompany them. This created a unique synchronization between performance and score that felt magical. The actors moved and reacted to the rhythm of Morricone haunting compositions. That iconic wah-wah-wah theme you know so well was guiding the performances as they happened. Music and image were born together as twins rather than being married later. Fact number 6. The bridge explosion destroyed real military equipment. The film features a massive bridge explosion that looks absolutely spectacular on screen. But the story behind that explosion is almost unbelievable and somewhat tragic. The Spanish army provided real military equipment and soldiers as extras for the production. A real bridge was constructed specifically to be destroyed on camera for this sequence. The first time they tried to blow it up, something went wrong with the camera. The explosion happened, but none of it was captured on film at all. They had to rebuild the entire bridge from scratch and blow it up again. The Spanish military was furious about the wasted resources and equipment. The second attempt worked perfectly and became one of cinema's greatest explosions. Fact number 7. Clint Eastwood wore the same poncho in all 3 films. That iconic poncho that Eastwood wears throughout the film has its own legendary history. He wore the exact same poncho in all 3 of the Dollars trilogy films. It was never washed or cleaned between any of the 3 productions over several years. The poncho became increasingly dirty and worn and weathered with each film. Leone believed the authentic grime added to the character's rugged, mysterious appearance. By the time of this 3rd film, the poncho was genuinely falling apart. Eastwood kept the original poncho after filming as a personal souvenir. It remains one of the most recognizable costume pieces in all of cinema history forever. Fact number 8. Lee Van Cleef had a missing finger that was hidden. Lee Van Cleef played the terrifying villain Angel Eyes with chilling, cold perfection. But he had a physical secret that the production had to carefully hide from audiences. Van Cleef was missing the tip of one finger from an accident earlier in his life. The filmmakers were worried this would distract viewers during his close-up scenes. They carefully positioned his hands and used camera angles to hide the missing fingertip. Gloves were sometimes used in scenes where his hands would be prominently visible. Most viewers have watched this film dozens of times without ever noticing this hidden detail. Fact number 9. The Civil War scenes use thousands of real Spanish soldiers. The film depicts American Civil War battles with impressive scale and authenticity on screen. But those soldiers you see fighting and dying were not American extras at all. The Spanish military provided over 1,500 real soldiers to serve as extras in battle scenes. These soldiers were trained to use period-accurate weapons and tactics for filming. They performed dangerous stunts and explosions for very little additional pay. The Spanish government saw this as good publicity and training for their troops. Fact number 10. Tuco's speech at his brother's grave was improvised. One of the most emotional scenes in the film shows Tuco visiting his brother, who is a priest. The heartbreaking speech Tuco delivers at the monastery was largely improvised by Eli Wallach himself. Leone gave Wallach general guidance about the emotions he wanted from the scene, but the specific words and delivery came from Wallach's own creative instincts in the moment. Wallach drew on his own family experiences and personal emotions during the performance. He later said he surprised himself with how deep and painful the scene became. That raw, authentic emotion you feel watching Tuco break down is real actor vulnerability. Sometimes the best moments come when actors are free to follow their hearts. Fact number 11. The film was originally over 4 hours long. Sergio Leone's original cut of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was massive. It ran for over 4 hours in its first complete version before any editing. The studio executives were horrified when they saw the length of the film. They demanded Leone cut it down to a more commercially acceptable running time immediately. Leone painfully removed many scenes he loved to satisfy the studio demands. The American release was even shorter than the European version by many minutes. For decades, fans wondered about the lost footage that had been cut away. In 2014, an extended version was released, restoring some of the missing scenes finally. Even now, some footage remains lost forever to history. Fact number 12. Clint Eastwood had almost no dialogue in the entire film. Eastwood character Blondie is the main hero of this epic 3-hour film, but he speaks surprisingly few words throughout the entire movie. His total dialogue could probably fit on just 2 or 3 pages of script. Leone deliberately made Blondie a man of action rather than words. Eastwood communicated through squints and glances, and subtle body movements instead. This minimalist approach made every word he did speak feel incredibly powerful and meaningful. The famous line about digging versus having a loaded gun became instantly legendary. Less proved to be infinitely more when it came to creating an iconic screen presence. Fact number 13. The cemetery set was built by 250 soldiers. That enormous circular cemetery where the final showdown takes place is unforgettable. But building that massive set was an incredible undertaking that seems almost impossible. 250 Spanish soldiers were assigned to construct over 100,000 graves in the desert. They worked for weeks in the brutal Spanish heat to complete the cemetery. Each grave had to look authentic and weathered as if it had been there for years. The circular design was Leone's invention to create the perfect arena for his showdown. After filming was completed, the entire cemetery was left standing in the desert. For years, tourists would visit the location to see where cinema history was made. Fact number 14. Eli Wallach kept his costume and never returned it. Eli Wallach became so attached to his Tuco costume that he refused to give it back. After filming wrapped, he simply took the entire outfit home with him to America. The production company asked for it to be returned, but Wallach ignored their requests. He kept the vest and hat and other pieces for the rest of his life. He would occasionally wear pieces of the costume to fan conventions and events. He felt the costume was as much a part of him as it was studio property. That outfit represented one of the greatest roles of his entire legendary career. Fact number 15. The iconic theme was made with unusual instruments. Ennio Morricone's score is instantly recognizable to people around the entire world, but he created those sounds using very unusual and unexpected instruments and techniques. The howling coyote sounds were actually made by human voices, not real animals. Morricone used electric guitars and whips and gunshots as percussion elements. He incorporated whistling and shouting and wordless vocals into the composition. Ocarina and trumpet and bells created that distinctive, otherworldly Western sound. Traditional orchestras would never have produced such a unique and revolutionary score. Morricone broke all the rules of film music and invented something completely new forever. Fact number 16. Sergio Leone never visited the actual American West. This film is considered one of the greatest westerns ever made by any director. It defined how generations imagined the American frontier looked and felt. But Sergio Leone had never actually visited America when he made this film. He created his vision of the West entirely from other movies and photographs and imagination. His version of America was filtered through an Italian sensibility and European perspective. This distance actually helped him create a mythological version of the West. He was not constrained by actual reality or accurate historical details. His West was a dreamscape of violence and beauty and operatic emotion. Fact number 18. The film was rejected by American studios initially. When The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was completed, American distributors were not impressed. They considered it just another cheap Italian Western not worth serious attention. Spaghetti Westerns were looked down upon by Hollywood as inferior products. The violence and unconventional style seemed too foreign for American audiences. Several major studios passed on the opportunity to distribute the film. United Artists finally agreed to release it, but with low expectations initially. They were shocked when it became a massive hit with American audiences everywhere. The film proved that innovation could come from outside the Hollywood system. Fact number 19. Clint Eastwood earned very little money from the film. This might shock you considering how successful and iconic the film became worldwide. Clint Eastwood was paid a relatively small flat fee for his starring role. He received around $250,000, which seems like a lot, but was modest for a star. He had no profit participation or back-end deal for this particular film. As the movie earned hundreds of millions over the decades, Eastwood saw none of it. He later said this experience taught him important lessons about the business. For his future films, he negotiated much better deals with profit participation included. Sometimes your biggest lessons come from the contracts you regret signing. Fact number 20. The film inspired countless directors for generations. The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly changed cinema in ways that are still felt today. Quentin Tarantino has called it one of his favorite films and biggest influences directly. John Woo studied Leone techniques before creating his own action masterpieces. George Lucas was heavily influenced by Leone when creating Star Wars. The Mexican standoff has become a standard trope in action films worldwide. The use of extreme close-ups during tense moments became a standard technique. Robert Rodriguez built his entire career on lessons learned from this film. Directors around the world still study how Leone created tension and spectacle together.